Stephen Coe, myself, Dave Wing. I'm the chairman of the meeting tonight, and on my left is Garrett Craig. And it doesn't appear that we have any minutes to review and approve, so we will proceed to the first matter on the agenda. I guess, first of all, we only have 4 of us, so in advance I will advise you that if you want, you would have the opportunity of having your meeting heard at the next scheduled meeting. The reason for that is that it takes 4 votes. It would take all 4 of us, but it could be 4-1, 4-2, 4-3, and your application will be approved, depending on how many are present at the next meeting. So you can think about that and decide if you want to proceed tonight or not. Okay. With regard to the first matter on our agenda, it's variance application 2313, an application by Tracy Clemens. Would that be you, ma'am? Okay. And do you want to proceed tonight? Yeah. Okay. You bet. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our desktop is down, so we're going to use the TV. But actually, it probably looks the same to all of you. It's just different.
It does.
So, this proposal is to locate a small local contractor storage business in an R2 two-family residence zone, varying from the permitted uses of the zone. The building's been used this way for a long time. We just have had a lapse in that record, so I'll explain that in a couple slides. Here's the property. I don't know if you can see it because the roof is a similar color to the blurry aerial image of the ground. But it's the lot lines on the aerial image are a little transposed, so it looks like it's in the middle of the building. That's not the case. It's just that the building is most of the lot. Here's the front of the building. It's up on West Daly Street. So the municipal code lists the permitted uses of the R2 zone. These are primarily residential and accessory uses. The proposed use for a contractor storage business is not outright permitted, but the building's been used this way historically. It was built prior to the adoption of the zoning ordinance. It was built in 1910. Zoning was adopted in 1978. And when pre-existing non-conforming structures cease operation for over 1 year, any new non-conforming use must be reviewed by the zoning board. So that's why we're here tonight. Due to the lapse in active business licenses, not with TLC contracting, but previous contractors who have used the building, staff has been unable to certify whether the building was in continuous use since 1978. The zoning is in the R2, a couple lots east. There is some commercial zoning up in Walkerville. Here's that aerial again. And the next slides are just pictures of the building and of the surrounding area. It goes all the way back to the end of the lot, and that's a parking area, I think also owned by TLC Contracting by Tracy. That's looking east down West Daly and looking west. And then some of these pictures were provided by the applicant and some I conveniently found on Zillow. So this is what the inside of the building looks like. There's a bathroom. You can see in the 2 doors, there's a bathroom and there's a little office. Here's the office. And this is the main part of the building. Not residential per se. The 3 criteria for a variance. The first is a variance must not be contrary to public interest. The building was constructed to be and has been used as a contractor storage space for many years. The proposed storage business has only 2 to 3 employees and will only be using the property for indoor storage of materials or vehicles, not any more intensive uses like welding or actual building within the building. No clients have access to the building, so there shouldn't be client traffic. The applicant hasn't specified business hours, but the board is able to discuss that with them tonight if they wish. Conditions of approval to ensure reasonable business hours to prevent, headlights from disturbing residential neighbors at awkward hours. and that all storage is conducted within the building or to be screened may be considered by the board. These are standard considerations for commercial businesses, and these should be discussed with the applicant. Due to the long-time nature of this property being commercial and the lower impact nature of the proposed business, the proposal would likely not be contrary to the public interest. The imposition of conditions of approval to guarantee minimal disturbance to the neighborhood would be appropriate as long as they relate to impacts associated with the proposed business. The second criteria is that a literal enforcement of the zoning ordinance would result in hardship owing to conditions unique to the property. The structure was a commercial storage warehouse building built in 1910, and it would potentially be unusable without a variance, demolition, or substantial renovation. Rather than forcing structures to remain vacant, be demolished, or substantially renovated into residences, as would be the case without a variance, it may be appropriate to consider a pre-existing commercial structure in a residential zoning district a hardship. The third and final criteria is the spirit of the ordinance must be observed and substantial justice done. The ordinance specifically states, and I quote it up here, if a non-conforming use within a structure or structures and premises in combination is discontinued or abandoned for any reason and is not rebuilt within a year, the structure and premises shall not thereafter be used except in conformance with the regulations of the zone. So if the use stops for a period of a year or more, then only uses allowed in the R2 would be allowed. The ordinance recognizes that the community has existing non-conforming structures and provides a path to maintain those without disrupting the character and the residents within those neighborhoods. Since the building has been vacant for over a year, or maybe has not, but we have slim proof of that since 1978, any new commercial use would require review from the zoning board. Therefore, all three criteria of variances have been met, and our recommendation from staff to the board is to approve the variance based on the written findings of fact as described in your staff report with appropriate conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Lila. The applicant, could you come forward to a little podium right there? I think you need to turn on the microphone. There you go. The red thing indicates it's
On now? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, do you have anything you would like to add to the staff presentation?
Basically, just what Lila said. I mean, we've used this as a commercial storing facility, ever since we bought the place, I think back in 16 or 17. Our hours of operation are very minimal, 8 to 4. We're not there during the day unless the guys leave early. We're not there in the evenings, and we're not there on the weekends. So it's going to be very minimal disturbance in that area.
Okay, so you're suggesting 8 to 4 as hours of operation?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's just Monday through Friday.
Yeah. I kind of think you should give yourself an extra hour. 8 to 5 sounds okay to me. I'll talk to the board members about that.
Okay.
Yeah. With regard to screening of your equipment and materials, what do you have in place for that now?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Screening of equipment and materials?
Everything is inside of the building.
Okay.
There's nothing on the outside.
Okay.
Everything is located on the inside. There's a big garage bay door there that remains closed during the day, remains closed at nighttime. So visually, there's nothing that can be seen except for the building.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, would any board members have any questions of the applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No, I'm not really seeing anybody who might speak in support, but I have to ask for the record. Is there anybody here that would care to speak in support of this application? I'm not hearing anybody. I'll ask if there's anybody present that would care to speak against the application. And again, I'm not hearing anybody. So I'll close the public portion of the meeting and open it for board discussion. Any thoughts with regard to this matter? Seems straightforward to me.
Yeah, I did agree, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, definitely commercial in nature. You know, I think it's very, very low risk. As the applicant said, low traffic. You know, I do think the conditions of approval, I do agree with those. Although hours of operation, I personally would be comfortable with even like 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. or something
would
like
too.
that. Just to give you a little extra room, and yeah, like you said, definitely low traffic. And then if in the case something was to be stored outside, make sure it's screened, but it doesn't sound like that's your plan. So, and in my mind, I have no concerns with it.
Okay, I don't either. Okay, do you guys have any thoughts with regards, Stephen?
I agree with everything that's been said, and I agree with Garrett's idea of, 7 to 6. That seems pretty reasonable. Give a little leeway there.
Okay. Everything okay with you too, Byron?
Yeah, no concerns for me.
No concerns, okay.
All three criteria met, pretty straightforward in my mind.
Okay, thank you. I guess we'll need a motion, and we should probably include the hours of operation, 7 to 6 in the motion. So that is on record.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve variance 23-000013 with the condition of hours of operation of 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Thank you, Garrett.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded, and we can now vote.
Mr. Chairman, I'd probably add to my motion of the outside storage, of screening that if any outside storage was needed.
Okay, thank you. With that in mind, we can now vote on the motion. Thank you. All 4 votes are in support of the motion, so your application has been approved, and you will be receiving a letter from the planning staff to that effect, including the condition with regard to hours of operation. So thank you. There are 2 remaining matters on the agenda. Special use application 2313 and 2314. I've been advised that they'll be doing one presentation with regard to these 2 matters. They're 2 rental places that are next door to each other down in South Idaho, and everything would apply to them. So it will be a single presentation for both applications. Joella or Lila?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This presentation is for special use 2313 and 2314. The applicant is Jason Vesco, who lives here in Butte. It's the proposal to locate 2 Airbnbs in an existing residence per section 1738-180 of special uses allowed of the BSBMC. Sorry. The results get me. I'm not quite sure what happened to the proposal, but the proposal is to rent 2 shotgun-style 1-bedroom, 1-bath homes for short and long-term rental units. Lodging provided by homeowners for compensation is recognized as a special use allowed in any residential zoning district, provided the prescribed use is in harmony with the other uses permitted in the zone and not found to be contrary to public interest. The process provided for review of physical conditions which exists at the location, the conduct and operation of the proposed use, and whether the combination of these factors will be compatible with the proposed site and surrounding area. To provide the board with information about the proposed special use, the applicant and planning staff have responded to the established 20 questions outlined here. Here's an aerial view of the two properties. 632 is just to the north, and right below it is 634. The zoning district is in an R3 or a multifamily district. Again, they're outlined in the darker area. And they're surrounded, to the south is an R2, and there's a small section to the north and to the southeast, both C2s. Comprehensive plan place type is in the uptown neighborhood. It's adjacent to the north corridor, which is next to the uptown edge, and below it is the live-make neighborhood. The location and character of the property and surrounding buildings. These two properties are both in the R3 or multifamily residence zone. The homes are shotgun style, 1 bedroom, 1 bath family dwellings. Each unit or each dwelling is 728 square feet in size. Vehicular access is provided by South Idaho Street to the front of each residence. Handicap access may be of a concern as there is a step up from the street area as well as a step up onto the to the front door. The properties in question are located within an area containing mostly multifamily and single-family homes. Most of the lots in this area are around 3,000 square feet in size. Each parcel is 1,500 square feet in size. The parcels located directly to the south are all single-family homes. To the north and east are multi and single-family, and then directly to the west are all multifamily homes. They're all located in the R3. There have been no changes in the zoning ordinance that have occurred in this area. The property is located in the uptown neighborhood place type in the comprehensive plan. This place type represents traditional urban neighborhoods with a predominance of single-family attached and detached resident units and limited neighborhood commercial. The uptown neighborhoods are located within the Butte Historic District and are defined by the character and quality of architecture found at the turn of the century. It flanks the uptown core place type to the west and wraps around the north and south of the district. Some potential nuisances, possibly wayfinding. Staff does believe that the address should be clearly posted and visible from the street to mitigate any potential for guests to mistake neighboring houses for the rental unit. Increased traffic, as long as the occupancy levels of each resident is in conformance with the residential building code, it shouldn't increase any of the traffic. Noise, staff would suggest that the owner does enforce rules through the online hosting programs. Conclusions. Based on the above information, staff's analysis of the review criteria and any public opinion as it relates to the criteria, the board must determine if the applicant has presented evidence to the satisfaction of the board that said undue detriment will result from the granting of a special use. Section 1738-160, special or conditional use permits. Decision of the board requires staff to refer the application to the board within 15 days of the receipt of the application, and all requested information the board shall within 60 days deny the application and give reasons, or approve the application and the zoning officer shall issue a zoning compliance permit with conditions specified therein. Thank you.
Thank you, Joella. Could the applicants step forward to the podium in front of them there? First of all, do you wish to us to proceed with your application tonight, or do you wish to continue it till the next meeting?
Yes, I'd like to proceed tonight.
Okay. Could you identify yourself by giving your name and address?
Yeah, Jason Vesco. Or the address for these, or
Your own personal address.
8715 US Highway 10, Butte,
Okay, thank you.
Montana.
If we were to approve your application tonight, it would be subject to these conditions, standard conditions for these matters. Have you looked at those and reviewed them?
Yes, I have.
Any of those particular conditions, do you wish to discuss them tonight?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you have anything further you'd like to add to the staff report?
Yeah, I know we went through this process a few months back on these Silver Street units, and
Yeah.
I have a little bit of experience on how to run those now, and it's been going smooth. So I believe that these, they're set up pretty much the same way. So I believe that everything should run pretty smoothly. So
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. I'll find out if any of the other board members have any questions.
all right, thank you.
Do you have any board members have any? No questions? Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Okay. Before we consider the merits of this particular application, we need to decide if we want to hear them tonight, because as Joella advised, we do have up to 60 days, or we can do it tonight, which is typically what we've been doing in the past. And I'm happy with doing everything tonight. Okay. It looks like we'll decide tonight. So, is there anybody present that would care to speak in support of this application? For the record, is there anybody present that would care to speak against the application? Nobody has showed up that wishes to either speak in support of it or opposition to it. So we'll now consider the merits of the case by the board. Any thoughts with regard to this?
Seems pretty straightforward, just like all the ones we've approved in the past.
I agree.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I don't have any concerns whatsoever either. Yeah, especially since the applicant's been through this process before. Yeah, even all the more reason in my mind to approve it.
Okay. Are we ready to have a motion? Okay.
Do we want a motion for both simultaneously or individually?
This is unusual. Do you want both of them? Motion for both or separate motions for the record? Separate motions for the record. So with regard to 2313, we'll need a motion with respect to it, and then we'll move on to 2314.
I'll make a motion to approve the special use permit 2313.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, and we can now vote on 2313. You note that we have separate ballots for each of them, too. Yeah, the conditions of approval.
Yeah, I'll amend the motion to include the conditions of approval.
Yeah. You got a thumbs up, Stephen. Thank you. Thank you, Garrett. All four votes are in support of the motion, so 2313 is taken care of, and we'll move on to 2314. And as indicated before, you'll be receiving a letter from the planning staff to that effect. Now on to 2314.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve special use 23-14 with the conditions of approval outlined.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Thank you again. 2314 was successful also. All 4 votes were for that application. And again, you'll be receiving a letter from the planning staff to that effect. And good luck with your projects.
All right, thank you so much.
You bet. Okay. Do we have any further business? Nope. Meeting is adjourned.